I told you earlier this week about the growing war on the media that Donald Trump is waging, and it's getting worse. And sadly, I don't know if the press corps is totally ready to fight against it. They're speaking up, but what will they actually do? Here's what happened. The White House banned CNN journalist Kaitlan Collins from attending a Rose Garden event yesterday at the White House. She was called into the White House and badgered and scolded for so-called inappropriate questions that she asked Trump during an Oval Office event earlier yesterday. Who was one of the officials who read Kaitlan Collins the riot act? It was Bill Shine, formerly of Fox News, now of the White House, as well as Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Well, these must have been wildly inappropriate questions, right? Not really. One of them was, did Michael Cohen betray you? Something Kaitlan Collins asked President Trump yesterday. Really inappropriate, right? Mr. President, are you worried about what Michael Cohen will say to prosecutors? Whoa, we got to get her out right away. We have the video. These are Kaitlan Collins's inappropriate questions and her supposedly inappropriate behavior at the White House yesterday.
Michael Cohen betray you, Mr. President?
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. President, did Michael Cohen betray you?
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. President, are you worried about what Michael Cohen is going to say to prosecutors?
Thank you, Kaitlan. Let's keep going.
Are you worried about what is on the other tapes, Mr. President?
Thank you all. Let's keep going. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Why has Vladimir Putin not accepted your invitation?
Keep going. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Let's go. Come on, guys. Thank you very much.
We're done. We're done. Let's go. Why has Vladimir Putin not accepted your invitation, Mr. President?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This really is not a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of screaming and pushing and whatever. It always goes this way. And the idea that this was just so offensive and inappropriate that Kaitlan Collins deserved to be banned is crazy. So we've got good news and bad news. The good news here is that most media outlets, even Fox News, are defending Kaitlan Collins. And Fox News put out a statement saying, quote, "We stand in strong solidarity with CNN for the right to full access for our journalists as part of a free and unfettered press." The White House Correspondents Association also put out a statement saying that this was wholly inappropriate, not Kaitlan Collins' behavior, but kicking her out of a subsequent event because she asked these questions. The White House Correspondents Association said it was wholly inappropriate, wrong-headed, and weak. This is the creeping authoritarianism that I've been warning about for a year and a half now. And Trump recently said at a rally, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening, basically saying you cannot believe even the most basic facts being reported by the media. Authoritarian dictatorships and fascist regimes tell the citizenry literally, do not believe what you see in the news. They ban media they don't like from covering them. And these aren't tactics that start to shade in the direction of authoritarianism. They're straight out of that playbook, period. And there's another fact that makes this even worse, which is that Kaitlan Collins wasn't in the Oval Office merely as a CNN reporter in the video I played for you. She was there as a reporter representing the press pool, which sometimes happens. One reporter is designated as representing the press pool at a particular event. So without Kaitlan's questions, there were no questions, period, which is exactly what the White House wants. The narrative can't be questioned, and that's what the Trump administration wants. And if your view is, David, listen, CNN has been unfair to Trump, and they sort of deserve this. CNN was the only press representation at that Oval Office event because Kaitlan Collins was the press pool reporter. So when CNN was singled out as being inappropriate, they were representing the press at large during that event. And it's sort of like kicking out the media, period. Now, legally, there are questions. This was a credentialed White House reporter. If you ban a credentialed reporter from an open press event, the later event at the Rose Garden, because you didn't like her questions, she didn't commit a crime, she didn't leak classified information, she didn't do anything, she didn't break into the Oval Office, you just didn't like the questions, that might be a violation of the First Amendment. And as usual, there will never be repercussions for it, and it will be a statement that some ethics lawyer tells us in a week, and then of course it'll be forgotten because there will be 10 more scandals by then. But there is that legal question. And when you look at Fox News saying the White House crossed the line with CNN, you know how backward things have gotten. And this is because, and we're very critical of Fox News on the opinion side all the time, Pat. It's completely whacked out in the tank for Trump on the opinion side. There are actually proper, standard, traditional journalists that work for Fox News who recognize the danger of this. Usually their views are overridden by the opinion side of Fox News. I'm not defending Fox News as an entity, But there are just normal journalists at Fox News who see this for what it is.
Yeah, we talk about like Shep Smith and Brett Baer, but there are also those journalists who you never really hear about. And,
Exactly.
You know, we see an instance of integrity here from Fox News, and that's pretty rare.
It's horrible that the opinion and bias permeates the news side at Fox News, but the actual reporters, and I'm actually in touch with a couple of them. There's a couple of Fox News just baseline reporters, regular field reporters who pay attention to the David Pakman show. It might be shocking to some of you. They do put their personal politics aside. They just understand the basics of journalistic integrity, which have been violated here. And it often doesn't come through on the Fox News channel, but real journalists recognize how this is extraordinarily dangerous. And this is a danger that we all need to be fighting against. It's creeping. We know Trump wants it. He's talked about journalism licenses. He's talked about trying to pull certain publications out of print or off air. It's really scary stuff. And we're seeing a little bit of the press corps banding together. So Fox News put out a statement. We saw a couple of examples of when Sarah Huckabee Sanders didn't answer a question from one reporter. The next reporter called on, said, can you ask the same question, or said, can you answer that question? So we're seeing a little bit of it, but the degree to which this anti-media crusade is building should freak everybody out. Whether you're a progressive leftist or a constitutional rightist or whatever, this is a red alert.
And we also have to be worried about self-censorship too, because if you know that if you ask a tough question, they'll cut your access. Turns out in the next press conference, you may ask something that's not so pressing.
Yes, there's no question about it. And that is, it's sort of like on YouTube where, listen, you can put up any video you want, but depending on what you put up, it might not have ads run and therefore you won't make any money. Strictly speaking, you're not banned from putting up whatever video you want, but you may start to self-censor in order to have your videos monetized. Similar sort of dynamic. Send me your thoughts, and specifically my question for you is, if you believe I am overblowing this press war against the press, write in and tell me why. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman, and the show is on Twitter @DavidPakman Show.